Hi friends, let's take a look at Chainlink together. So Chainlink has been one of these coins which has done more or less what we said it could do, and it's interesting for us, I think, in many regards. It's come quite close to an area now though where you could say, has it done enough of what we said it would do, or does it need to do everything and then potentially even more? So let's just tune in with that now and take a look. So it's quite simple really. We don't need that box saying 84k because that was what enlightened us to these moves was when it was moving past that 84k area where we had that 236 Fibonacci retracement point, and we knew the various different things in terms of the inflections in the market and the measured moves that we then kind of put, not measured moves, but the measuring sticks that kind of gave us our targets to look for. And I kind of didn't do them exact whatever, it was just kind of looking down to these areas. So yes, and we've come down and we've touched the 618 almost. We've hit the 55 EMA. Could the prices turn around from here? Well, they could. Certainly the third profit taking target is close enough to, if you've decided to take profit at that point or on any shorts that you had, then fair enough. And in which case, likewise, if you were thinking around these areas, this is where you'd want to go long from. Also, fair enough. You've not done badly there. If that's how you're trading it, I would caution people to just kind of respect this zone of the golden pocket really, and whether or not we move down past the 50 simple moving average over here in the 24-hour time frame thereafter, because if we do, then you'd be looking down to the 786 and this fuzzy line, and where we've had some previous price action at, and kind of retesting the history of this coin to see if we'll live above that area or not. Overall, though, have we done enough? And I would say that if they see the prices make their way back up to 69k, 70k, then yeah, 70k, daily closes above 70k, and maybe we would, depend on how the momentum and everything else is going at the time, we can maybe say that we've done enough. And that the trend towards the top side could therefore continue at that point. Looking over here towards the dollar prices, then, our three targets that we beared in mind as well before, been very, 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 very useful. Let's just jump down to the 1 hour time frame to see how that they would have matched in with what we're talking about. There's the 730 area, lots of action in around that zone. Then the 711 area, well, you can see lots of times we've come down to there and found support at it, but then as soon as we drop down past it, then off it went. Wherever we come down to, then it actually is right bang on to the top end of our parallel channel. We did actually say in the past that that's where we could come back to, right back to it, which is what makes me say as well, partly, have we done enough or not? In terms of the dollar pricing, 661, is that done enough, or do we need to move toward, or is there more to go? Who knows? If we speculatively have this Fibonacci drawn in here, then we know that then that comes in there at $7.17 or so. If we just look back to these three levels again, moving back up above these three will be the first indication to us that actually, we've kind of we're done with this downward movement, or else, we could continue towards the downside. Have we had something like some sort of head and shoulders potentially in this area? Is that a shoulder there, a head there, shoulder there, with a neckline kind of going up like that got crossed down the way? Suppose you could probably cut this up several different ways to fit your own particular choosing, but that's what we've been looking at. That's what's ended up happening, and well, that's it. I mean, we had this all, as you can see, these are the drawings that we had on the chart last week. We've had this all kind of panned out. Really just, like and subscribe, right? Tune on in, come back in for these videos on a daily basis, and you'll probably improve your overall effectiveness when it comes to trading these coins. So I do Bitcoin, Chainlink, Ethereum, and Tezos on a daily basis, by the way. So these are that's currently what I'd be looking to, this zone here, if we're going to then kind of, this potential retrace up the way as well towards that area before continuing down the way, of course, do we have divergence? Well, no, we don't, not on this particular time frame. On the RSI, on the stochastics, we've managed to just avoid it as well. You could compare it to over here, something like that, and say that we had some, but we already had the bearish divergence off the back of that played out. Well, but no, sorry, to over here, yes, to this low. But we're on a low time frame, so I feel that's a little bit moot. Let's go to the 4 hour time frame instead and compare where we are right now to the past, and are we coming in with any divergence? And it looks like, should the prices manage to actually close down here, and that over the period of the next hour and 40 minutes from the 4 hour standpoint, then we're not doing it with any divergence, So like that's just how it is. And if the ADX line is below 20 in terms of the 4 hour. If we just bring this up, you can see it's red. The ADX there is red, just crossing over the DM positive. Will it go up towards the 20 zone? Perhaps then actually, kind of say, hey, we've got more of a catalyst to go with this. By the way, quite often you find me talking about full measured moves on the back of things and partial measured moves. If you do that with a full measured move stick again, for the curious, I'm sure there's plenty of curious, then you see that it comes down to here, and then we move towards the top side again. But there was also the sort of the half measured move thing where we did it exactly the same way. You're really only looking for the half first off or whatever, about 60%, and we had that with this wick. Then we came back up to here. Then we went down. We did the same sort of thing with the next stage of this downward movement, and then we came towards the top side. So you can see then ultimately we've come on further down it. So if you're going to take a pattern here and say this is your measured move and do it this way, then you're not necessarily encapsulating the fullness of the market, because when you look beyond the sort of the textbook measured move and then move down towards these other moves, then you're doing something a little bit different in the sense, you're not just doing this one thing and then that's that. You're doing something a little bit different, and you have to look back up to your previous highs and whether or not you got above them, which we didn't, and then we sank on down the way subsequently afterwards. So this is how you would kind of tie all that together. And you'd also kind of look towards other things, for instance, just in terms of support and resistance down this zone here. If we just kind of look at that as saying, 1, 2, 3 touches there on a channel, and then down the way here, we've got a few touches here on a channel. For instance, if this turns out to be the case, if we come down, the prices come down to 650 and touch off of that, then maybe you'd be looking back up and saying, well, $7, not only does that put us in around these zones where we'd have those resistances, but it also makes it so that there's a chance it could turn around because you'd be at the median end of that channel. And if we did go past it, then maybe we'd be looking up to that 245 or 745 area. Where we have all these different inflection areas, and that's just the 382 Fibonacci retracement. And maybe we'd find that we just got as a sort of our second target type thing off of any sort of move that you might take here if you're looking to manage your risk in a fairly healthy way. And that's how I'd be doing this right now if I were trading this. And I'm not a financial advisor, none of this financial advice. That's just what I'd be looking at right now in terms of this one. If I was looking to get into a position, that's what I'd be talking about. So hope it helps. If you're interested in these oscillators that I've got, which I've decided to just make myself because I was fed up with the ones that I was using before, and then having to add them. If I removed it from the chart, I have to add it back and then change it to my colors and to do the things I wanted it to do. And also, I wanted to have these background lines drawn in properly. When I had the zones here on these two where I like to have them, wanted to have the stochastics work with an exponential moving average instead of a simple moving average, and just little things like that, and to also color code it depending on its slope and stuff like that. So if you want to have them, you can always ask me in the Discord or whatever, and I'm sure I can share them with you somehow. But they're just, they are just the standard oscillators themselves. They're just kind of decorated. That's everything. Yeah, I just remain cautious on this, right? Remain cautious on it. We're in a downward trend on the 4-hour time frame, have been since the 15th of July, until such times as things change. They haven't. What things could lead to it changing would be an acknowledgement from the prices that we've had a full measured move off the back of what we needed to versus, say, Bitcoin. And what if we find our feet in around this area, where we had this previous little inflection zone here on the way up at 650, like we spoke about, and the bottom of the channel, moving up above those areas, testing all that. And if Bitcoin then itself were to decline as the dollar prices were to incline for the link prices, then you could see a big flipping around here in terms of the trend for us at the minute. But at the minute, this is what we're dealing with. And it's not quite Adam and Eve, but it is, it's like this could be Adam, this could be Eve here. And when we drop past that 236 Fibonacci point there at 715, we drop towards it. There's so many different ways that you can put a narrative onto the price action. It really doesn't matter which one you choose to use. Might not be what I talk about, but it might not be what you choose. Might just ultimately translate to the same thing anyhow. So I'd look for that. The big moves towards the downside, should we continue to go past, having made it past, move this box out of the way, having made it past the 711 236, bear in mind $6, $5.11 and $4.22 are your three targets thereafter. If you want to look at it in a similar way to how we looked at that there now, I would say it's somewhat premature to do that quite now, but that's what you could do if we see prices move further. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope I mean, I know that you've got value from. I know you have. So I know you must have. You definitely have. So if you could know that you've got value from it, so if you could like and subscribe and all that good stuff, then I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next episode. Like I say, I've been Rocky Outcrop. Yada yada yada. See you next time.